What's up? It's Eden, and this is what I read this week. Hey everybody, welcome to our discussion about Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's iconic novel that I can't wait to talk about with you. I believe that in order to fully appreciate any literary text, especially a masterpiece like this one, it's essential for us to familiarize ourselves with the background and the context in which it was written. So that is what I'm going to talk about in today's video. So let's start by learning about the life of the author, Mary Shelley. So Mary was born in London in 1797 to two famous writers, Mary Wollstonecraft and William Godwin. She had several tragedies in her life. Mary eloped with the romantic poet Percy Shelley, and they traveled Europe together. And you can see many of the locations they visited mentioned in the book. 3 of their 4 children died. Mary's half-sister committed suicide. Percy's wife committed suicide as well. And after Percy's wife's death, he and Mary officially married, but he drowned before they could celebrate a decade together. So that's her life in a nutshell. So yeah, not an easy life, to say the least. Mary began writing Frankenstein when she was only 19. She and Percy Shelley were staying with Lord Byron, another romantic poet, and if you are familiar with romantic or Victorian literature, you probably know who Lord Byron is. To me, it's very intriguing to think about, them as friends, hanging out together. To be a fly on the wall, it was probably super interesting. So anyway, they were staying in Lord Byron's villa on the shores of Lake Geneva in Switzerland. And because of a stormy weather, they were forced to remain indoors. To pass the time, they told each other ghost stories, and then they challenged each other to write one. So Mary initially struggled with that challenge, but after she heard a discussion about science, she had a dream that inspired the novel that we know today as Frankenstein. I wish there was some way to tell her that this novel has challenged the boundaries of humanity and science, and it's captivating readers for more than 2 centuries. So the novel opens with a series of letters from Robert Walton to his sister in London. Walton is a daring explorer on a voyage to the Arctic. At some point, his ship becomes trapped in the ice, but his crew's spirits are lifted when they rescue a half-frozen man adrift on a sheet of ice. And this man is none other than Victor Frankenstein. Walton passionately shares his ambition to reach the North Pole with Frankenstein. So Frankenstein decides to recount his harrowing tale with Walton in order to warn him about the dark side of ambition. Through Victor's narrative, we are transported back to his youth in Geneva in Switzerland. Victor has this insatiable thirst for knowledge, and he becomes obsessed with unlocking the secrets of life and death through scientific experiments. His experiments lead him to create a creature from discarded remains of the deceased. But his joy and pride turns into horror when he realizes the monstrous nature of his creation. Overwhelmed with fear and disgust, Victor flees, leaving the creature to navigate the world alone. Now, as the creature struggles with his newfound existence, he experiences rejection and cruelty from everyone he meets. And this part of the book is really heartbreaking to read. The creature becomes desperate for a companion, so he seeks his creator and he demands Victor to create a mate for him. And in return, he promises that Victor will never have to see him again. Victor is haunted by guilt and remorse, refuses. And that sets off a chain of tragic events. When we read this book, it challenges us to question our perspectives about the nature of humanity. It asks us to ponder the question, who is the actual monster in this story? And I find it intriguing that before I read this book, I was sure that Frankenstein was the name of the monster. But when you read this book, you understand that the monster or the creature has in fact no name. And by the end, it makes you wonder whether Frankenstein is indeed the monster. So now let's move on to the background and the context that influenced Shelley's creation. The full title of this book is Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. The Modern Prometheus serves as an alternative title for the book, and it draws a direct link between Victor Frankenstein and the mythological figure Prometheus. Prometheus is a titan from the Greek mythology who defies the gods by stealing fire and giving it to humans. Now, like Prometheus, Victor is a bold, ambitious figure who seeks to transcend the limits of human knowledge by creating life. However, just as Prometheus faced severe consequences for his actions, Victor's hubris and overreaching ambition also lead to disastrous results. By adopting the title The Modern Prometheus, Shelley invites us as her readers to consider the moral and ethical implications of scientific innovation and the pursuit of knowledge beyond natural boundaries. The comparison between the two explores themes of rebellion, creation, the consequences of playing God, and it positions Frankenstein as a cautionary tale that warns about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the responsibilities that come with wielding power over life and death. Another example of intertextuality in the text is Paradise Lost, the epic poem by John Milton. The poem serves a significant literary influence on Shelley's Frankenstein. We can see the similarities between the two in several key aspects. Firstly, both narratives explore themes of rebellion, creation, and the fall of man. In Paradise Lost, Satan's rebellion against God leads to his explosion from heaven, while in Frankenstein, Victor Frankenstein's ambition to create life ultimately leads to his downfall. Additionally, both works deal with this Promethean figure who defies divine authority in pursuit of knowledge and power. Victor, like Satan, goes on a quest for forbidden knowledge, challenging the natural order and facing dire consequences as a result. Moreover, the creature in Frankenstein can be seen as a sympathetic figure akin to Milton's portrayal of Satan, as both characters are outcasts who rebel against their creators and seek revenge for their perceived injustices. Through her engagement with Paradise Lost, Shelley adds depth and complexity to her exploration of human ambition, moral responsibilities, and the consequences of playing God, which enriches the thematic resonance with her novel. In Shelley's Frankenstein, it's easy to see how contemporary science, particularly in the field of electricity and its effects on living organisms, influences the narrative. She draws inspiration from researchers like Luigi Galvani and Giovanni Aldini, both Italian. I hope I didn't butcher their names. Now, they conducted experiments demonstrating the potential of electricity to animate lifeless bodies. So Shelley writes a novel that explores the moral and ethical implications of scientific innovation. I want to talk more about Galvani and Aldini's research because I find it super interesting. So Galvani discovered what he calls animal electricity, which means that connecting two different metals to a dead frog would create some kind of an electric flow that causes the legs of the frog to move. Now, Aldini, who is Galvani's nephew, by the way, conducted similar experiments but on a corpse of a criminal. And these experiments resulted in some kind of movement. Some say that he opened his eyes, some say that he just moved his body, and so on. These dramatic demonstrations of electrical stimulation on deceased bodies probably inspired Shelley's portrayal of Frankenstein's creation that comes to life through electricity. By incorporating these real-world scientific concepts into her novel, Shelley not only captures the fascination and speculation surrounding electricity during her time, but she also prompts her readers to contemplate the consequences of tampering with the natural order through scientific experiments. Now, as we read through this novel, we see that lightning is also a symbol that Shelley uses to symbolize knowledge. And through this symbol, she shows the dangers lightning can cause. Jean-Jacques Rousseau is one of the most influential philosophers from the 18th century, and he argued that humans are inherently good in their original, untainted state of nature, but are corrupted by society and civilization. In Frankenstein, the monster, initially a tabula rasa or a blank slate, is born innocent and benevolent, but he becomes monstrous due to society's rejection and mistreatment. Now, Shelley's portrayal of the monster's transformation reflects Rousseau's notion that societal influences can distort human nature. In addition to that, the creature's longing for acceptance and connection with his creator echoes Rousseau's emphasis on the importance of human relationships and social bonds in shaping individual identity and morality. Now, Rousseau's idea of the natural state provides lens through which to analyze themes of nature versus nurture and the corrupting influence of society in Frankenstein. The Arctic explorations of the 18th and 19th centuries were marked by daring expeditions to navigate the icy and treacherous waters of the polar regions in search for new trade routes, scientific discoveries, and of course, a little bit of fame. Now, these expeditions, often characterized by harsh conditions, isolation, and encounters with the unknown, all of which captured the public's imagination and became representative of humanity's quest to conquer the last frontiers of Earth. Okay, so where were we? So Shelley's Frankenstein, written during this era of explorations, really reflects the fascination of the uncharted territories of the Arctic. The novel's framing device, featuring Captain Robert Walton's expedition to the North Pole, serves as a backdrop against which the main narrative unfolds. The Arctic setting symbolizes the unknown and serves as a metaphor for unexplored realms of science and human ambition. Moreover, the extreme conditions of the Arctic mirrors the isolation and desolation experienced by the characters in the novel, particularly Victor and his creation, highlighting themes of loneliness, alienation, and the pursuit of knowledge at all cost. Last but not least, the Romantic movement. The Romantic movement flourished in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, and it was characterized by an emphasis on individualism, emotion, and the sublime beauty of nature. The Romantics rejected the rationalism and industrialization of the Enlightenment era. Instead, they were celebrating the power of imagination and the mysteries of the natural world. Now, Shelley's Frankenstein, written during this era, reflects many of the themes and ideals of the Romantic movement. The novel explores the sublime, which is awe-inspiring but simultaneously terrifying forces of nature, as well as the inner turmoil of emotional struggles of its characters. Now, Frankenstein's obsession with pushing the boundaries of scientific knowledge and his subsequent isolation from society resonate with romantic ideals of the solitary genius that is on a quest for transcendence. In addition to that, the novel's vivid descriptions of natural landscapes, particularly the wilderness of the Arctic, evoke the sublime glory and untamed power of nature that is often depicted by romantic artists and writers. The novel embodies its fascination with the unknown, its celebration of individual creativity, and the cautionary warnings about dangers of unchecked ambition, which all are pretty common in romantic literature. I feel like I can talk about this book for days, and there are many more aspects to explore in terms of background and context. But I think we managed to cover the main ones and to scratch the surface a little bit. I hope it was interesting for you and informative and that you learned something new. If you like this video and you like this kind of content, then please give this video a thumbs up so that I'll know to keep making content like this. Now, I know I don't have a lot of comments on my videos, and I totally understand why, but if you feel like you are brave enough today to publicly share your perspective in the comment section, that will totally make my day, because I'd like nothing more than to get to know you better, the books that you're into, and your insights in general. Other than that, I wish you an amazing day wherever you are, and I hope to see you here next time. Bye.